So, I'm actually reading some articles of MSN about this so-called supermoon. I just have a few things to say about that. WTF? It seems like you can't go one day without hearing a natural disaster, and they think it's attributed to this supermoon. Well, good news? He's a scientist that'll explain everything, okay? So quit freaking out, and I'll read a little bit of what he said. He or she, because sometimes gender is ambiguous on cyberspace, you know. Again, I don't own this article, but it's time you knew the truth about this supermoon phenomenon. By Space.com staff. I don't own Space.com either, just so you know. The tragic earthquake and tsunami in Japan Friday, March 11th, set the internet ablaze with the idea that the moon will be its fullest at March 19th. Oh, sorry, hang on for a second. Played a role in the devastating natural disaster. There we go. The seed for the idea was planted by an astrologer who contended that this large full moon, a so-called supermoon, would touch off natural disasters like the Japan earthquake, since the moon would make its closest approach in 18 years. There's just one problem with that. If it always approached every 18 years, what's so different about this one? That's what kind of got me scared at first. But I reread this and like, what? An astrologer made this prediction? Call me crazy. I think the astrologer is kinda odd to me. They mentioned something about this now, when the so-called, all the other people's, we wound up taking everybody else seriously about the whole 2012 thing, which we now know better, by the way. Scientists, however, has dismissed the notion entirely, and now NASA scientist is weighing in. In a statement released Friday, noted NASA scientist Jim Garvin explained the mechanics behind the moon's phases and the causes of the supermoon. Garvin is a chief scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. Supermoon is a situation where the moon is slightly closer to the Earth in its orbit than on average, and this effect is noticeable when it occurs at the same time as a full moon. Gavin wrote in the NASA statement, so the moon may seem bigger, although the difference in its distance from Earth is only a few percent at such times. Stupid pop-ups. The full moon of March will occur next Saturday on March 19th. Where the moon will be around 221,567 miles, 356,557 kilometers if it translates in metric, which is sometimes a pain, away from Earth. The average distance between the Earth and the moon is about 238,000 miles, 382 to 0.900 kilometers. What? It took us a pain. You're right. Sorry, I'll continue. It is called a supermoon because this is a very noticeable alignment that at first glance would seem to have an effect, Garvin explained. The supermoon in the super in Supermoon is really just the appearance of being closer. But unless we were measuring the Earth-Moon distance by laser rangefinders, as we do in the LRO, Low Reconnaissance Orbiter, spacecraft in low lunar orbit, and to watch the Earth-Moon distance over years, there is really no difference. It was astrologer Rick Nollet who linked the full moon of March 19th to natural disasters. He claimed that this supermoon would trigger massive earthquakes, volcanoes, and powerful storms when it arrived. But scientists assure us that this is not the case. Here's a link explaining everything. I will add that later. Garvin, for example, said the moon's effects on Earth have been the subject of extensive studies. The effects on Earth from a supermoon are minor, and according to the most detailed studies by terrestrial seismologists and volcanologists, the combination of the moon being at its closest to Earth in orbit and being in its full moon configuration relative to the Earth and Sun should not affect the internal energy balance of the Earth, since there are lunar tides any day and every day. Sorry, I added a bit. But while the moon does help drive, But while the moon helps drive Earth's orbit, But while the moon helps drive Earth tides, it is not capable of triggering devastating earthquakes. The Earth has stored a tremendous amount of internal energy within its thin outer shell or crust, and the small differences in the tidal forces exerted by the moon and sun are not enough to fundamentally overcome the much larger forces within the planet due to convection and all other aspects of the internal energy balances that drives plate tectonics. Explained. Yes? Oh, sorry. Follow space.com for the latest in space science and exploration news on Twitter at space.com and on Facebook. Here are 3 links and stuff. I will go into more detail. You see? Don't worry. Don't worry, guys. I mean, it may seem like a big deal to everyone else, but I'm not too worried, because if it happened every 18 years, what would make this event so much different than the last one? Half the comments I read on MSNBC don't make sense, but then again, neither did the 2012 freak out either, okay? Do we really believe it's going to be any different than it is? Wow, that's kind of impressive. It's an optical. Here's something with space.com. The dazzling full moon sets behind a very large telescope in Chile's Atacama Desert in this photo released June 7th by the European Southern Observatory. The moon appears larger than normal due to an optical illusion of perspective. See? See? This supermoon would be nothing but just an optical illusion of perspective. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And only 50 minutes later, the moon will officially be full. On Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the moon will arrive at its closest point to the Earth in 2011. A distance of 221,465 miles, 356,000 575 kilometers away, if you're translating metric. And only 50 minutes later, the moon will officially be full. The appearances can be deceiving. It can be freaking enormous sometimes at first. But quit worrying, okay? Quit freaking worrying, alright? The moon ain't that big to be. The moon, despite its awkward looking appearance, is not going to be that big by any stage. It'll be just like any normal night, night on any other planet. I mean, if you're Vulcan, however, you might think, oh shit, here goes our first contact. Why didn't anybody tell us about this supermoon in the first place? What the heck's a supermoon anyway? One more thing, you should not worry about it. These articles ain't mine. I'm just repeating what everybody else has been saying according to the scientific community. So don't worry about it. Be brave. And people, don't lose your shit every time you think the world's ending, okay? As bad as things might seem, well, considering the alternative, this future, this 2011 we're living in right now, is way better than the ones they portray in the movies. Thank you, as Spock would say. Live long and prosper.